Hey y'all, we're here with our latest installment of our videos covering the best spirits under 30 bucks. Joining me to help construct our list is our good friend Josh Gall. Josh is a bourbon connoisseur. He has over 150 bottles in his home bar. This guy really knows his stuff. So Josh, what's the first bottle you want to dive into here?
I think it'd be fun to talk about the Larceny Small Batch. One of the things that I like about the Larceny Small Batch is that it's a wheated bourbon, which just means that wheat is going to be the second most prominent grain in the mash bill. Other wheated bourbons that people might be familiar with are like Maker's Mark, Happy Van Winkle, like a popular
super high end.
Yeah, but wheated bourbon, so it has different characteristics.
What do people notice in a wheated bourbon that they may not in one that's not as high wheat?
To me, I think it's maybe a little bit more floral. It also helps round out the difference between the corn and the rye, so it's less spicy. Compared to a bourbon that's high rye, you're gonna get some more spice characteristics. This sort of blends the two a little bit better.
So it's like maybe what some consumers might describe as like a little bit smoother of a whiskey. Is that fair?
Yeah, I like to think so. It's a safe cocktail bourbon. I think it's also nice to sip on, especially at this price point. I think we found this for around 27 bucks.
Yeah. So Larceny, high value, wheated bourbon, kind of like a Maker's Mark profile. What's next?
So staying in the Heaven Hill family.
That's the distiller, I guess?
Yeah, Elijah Craig Small Batch, 94 proof. So it's got just a little more heat to it, but now it's a little bit more of a balanced bourbon because corn is the prominent wheat, just like a classic bourbon. Cheers.
Sure. I mean, certainly higher alcohol content helps a little, but it also smells spicier, or like maybe it's the oak. Is this the same age as the Larceny?
Elijah Craig is twice as long as far as the aging goes, 8 to 12 years. There's maybe a little bit more oak because of the aging. Also, I think because of the more of a bourbon balance as far as the mash bill goes, you get a little bit more classic bourbon flavor, so a little bit more vanilla, whereas we were getting maybe a little bit more floral, you know, sweetness from this.
Yeah, it almost feels like the Larceny was a little lighter. This one feels fuller bodied tasting, it almost feels like.
And it's, I mean, a huge value buy. I mean, because you can get this anywhere.
This tastes like something I would go to for an old fashioned all day.
You can enjoy it with somebody who knows what they're drinking, but also you're not gonna feel bad if you give it to somebody who doesn't know what they're drinking.
So we're 2 down, 3 to go. What do we got next?
103 proof, you know, just really lots of spice.
This one hits hard. This one gets you a special kind of tip. What'd you say this was? 200 proof.
So I think we moved to our first Brown Foreman product, also a distiller, but Woodford Reserve, very similar in proof. What we're now getting into is a slightly higher rye in the mash bill.
As opposed to probably corn, I guess.
Well, corn is still going to be the prominent ingredient because all bourbons have to be at least 51% corn, but we are now 10% rye versus 18% rye in the mash
So
bill.
almost twice as much rye.
Yeah, so to me immediately on the nose, like classic bourbon flavors, vanilla, more allspice to me, but the caramel reads different.
Yeah, that's really nice on the nose.
To me immediately a difference in rye is pronounced.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
So you sort of get it across the palate, just a little spicier, a little bit brighter, a little bit more vibrant.
So this one's like almost twice as much rye as the Elijah Craig. What does that kind of do to the profile?
So to me, it helps the chocolate be more pronounced. It helps the baking spices sort of linger, right?
Okay.
You know, because I think that you get that across the palate almost the whole time. Because of the rye, both can make, of course, classic cocktails like an old fashioned. But if you're interested in learning what rye does to an old fashioned, this could be a nice next step.
Second to last one, it looks like Bulleit.
90 proof, so just a little bit less than what we've been looking at. However, the difference is the rye content in the mash bill. We're up to 28%, which is significantly higher.
So we went from almost twice as much from the Elijah Craig to the Woodford, and then we've added even more with the Bulleit. Rye as a component of the grain that they're using is the highest in this one of all of these.
Yeah, so to me, like much more intense on the vanilla.
You can smell that.
Yeah, it's almost like vanilla bean. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
totally. Yeah, very, very vanilla heavy. We use Bulleit a lot in cocktails because it seems to, almost like the wheated Larceny, not overpower a lot of other ingredients, but it plays nicely with a lot of things.
Yeah, well, in this, there is balance, you know, so you get some of the sweetness, you get some of the spice because there is more rye in it. So it's a little bit more of like an all-in-one. You know, you've got a lot of flexibility in this where you can lean into the sweet, you can lean into the spicy just based on the other ingredients you're trying to use.
Definitely, and this one is widely available. You can almost always find a 750 in the mid to low 20s.
And the added spice allows for you to do things like a whiskey sour, you know, where you're going maybe a little bit beyond just sweet and you're adding some other things to the profile. So yeah, especially for under 30 bucks, it's hard to beat it.
So we've gone through 4 bourbons so far. We got 1 left on the list. Take us to it.
So we've got the classic Wild Turkey 101.
Excellent rebrand on the 101 in my opinion. What do you think?
No, absolutely. I think that they've kept it.
You said that earlier, so I just literally lifted it right from
That's
you.
okay. That's all right. The best people steal, right?
So 101, that means what, higher proof, I guess?
Yeah, so 101 proof. And one of the things that's unique about this, aside from the proof, is that actually when they distill it in the barrels, they only distill this at 109 proof as opposed to 140, where it's much, much spicier. So this is going to have more barrel characteristic.
Yeah, I smell wood on this. I smell
Yeah.
oak on this.
Lots more oak.
When you're building cocktails, we are always trying to push the flavor up, and obviously we make sugar syrups. Sweetness can be both the enemy of cocktails, but it can also be a real vessel for flavor. And the higher proof spirits really allow us to push the envelope with acid, sugar, modifiers and stuff. So this almost lets us carry more flavor into the cocktail.
Wild Turkey 101 has been around for a long time, and there's a reason why.
It's what our parents drank in high school.
Right. Your parents, right.
Josh, man, thanks for joining us. This is such a fun category, under 30 bucks. We can get a ton of really great products that work in a variety of settings. All right? All right, y'all know us, y'all have seen our videos. We always try to bring you one extra deep value cut. In this case, we're going with the early times, bottled in bond, 100 proof. We can only find this in a liter in our market. I think they may only do this in a liter. I'm not sure, do you know?
I've only ever bought it in a liter.
So this was $20.99, big box liquor store. Very good value as far as price proposition. Josh, why don't you tell us a little bit about early times?
Huge value. I always try to keep this on my bar. Fun that it comes in a liter. Aged a minimum of 4 years, so it has a little bit of time in the barrel. Really balanced. Lots of caramel, almost like sort of like candied popcorn, you know, that kind of thing. You get a little bit of butter, which is sort of fun, you know. Definitely baking spice, which is nice.
I mean, it's crazy just tasting it next to the other ones we've tasted today that are all 10 or 12 or $15 more. This stands up flavor-wise to every single one of these. I mean, there's no, if you blind tasted these, there's no real distinction. I would never taste this and say, yeah, this is an inferior product.
Yeah, and it still has lots of character. Which
Yeah.
I think is really cool. So oftentimes, if I'm trying to make like, you know, batch old fashions, this is great in there because to me, like a little bit higher proof, I think helps stand up. It's also more unique, and for that price, especially in a liter.
Yeah, you're not gonna break the bank serving 15, 20 people. So we've gone through 6 great value bourbons. 5 of them are under 30 bucks. One of them is closer to that $20 range. Y'all go out and find these, try them out, test them in cocktails, make them in old fashions, test them neat. Tell us what you think in the comments. Josh, it's been great, man. Thanks so much for coming on, sharing some of your expertise with us. I know the viewers appreciate it. We do too. It's been great having you.
Thanks, man.
Well, Josh, man, cheers, man. This is such a fun category, especially for under 30. We whiffed, yeah. We've had way too much bourbon. When I breathe into this 101 glass, my eyeballs burn a little bit. Definitely oaky on the nose. You are now free to move about the cabin. So we've tasted 4 bourbons so far. We're both a little drunk, but that's a joke. We're not drunk.
It's only Thursday at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
It's okay if you are.
Yeah. What are you doing right now? Watch this.
Don't judge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get back to that spreadsheet. No, don't judge.
Good morning, Liber & Co.